Mission begins in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Help me!
Upward is a really good payload map. It's maybe too open with the sidelines, but that doesn't stop me or anyone else really from playing this map. Did you know that this map also turned 14 this year? Pretty cool, huh? Did you also know there are some custom made Upwards? Well, you probably already know when you click on this video, especially if you have been following me since I have covered 2 Fort and Badwater maps and someone wanted to see Upward maps, so I'm happy to do a video about all the different variations there are. I do want to point out that compared to something like Badwater, there weren't as many interesting custom maps in the workshop, so if this video ends up shorter than the other usual map videos, I do want to apologize for it. That disclaimer out of the way, let's start off with the first map of the video. Abandoned Upward is my personal favorite out of all these maps shown, as I really like the vision the map has. As the map description says, TC hydro dams broke and Upward got soaked in water, and as nature started to reclaim the mines, mysterious crystals started to appear. And now you either fight to blow out the mysterious crystals rather than prepare for unforeseen consequences, or defend them to find out what they do. That's some really fun world building right there. The map has a fairly similar layout to the OG one, with the exception of it being more green. There are a lot of trees and there are crystals around the caves. Second point now has crosswalks that lead to the hut, and the cliffside flank has spear, and before you think, yes, if you touch the water it kills you. The last point has a frill bullet which launches you to the start of the map, which is a pretty nice touch. Overall, while there isn't much to say, I do like the change in atmosphere, and that Half-Life reference really sold me on the map. There's also a map variation named Prankward which is abandoned, but now it takes place during winter, and the only difference is that there's no frill bullet at the end. I was gonna make it its own section, but I felt it would be rather pointless, so you get 2 maps in one. Prankward is a joke. I mean literally, this map isn't supposed to be played seriously. There are map place sentries everywhere, subs that defy all laws of physics, there are projectile spam on certain parts of the map, and when you get to the spiral bridge area, it starts pushing you out of the playable area, basically making it an uphill battle to avoid falling down to your death. And if that wasn't bad enough, there are also triggers in certain areas that spook you, making it so you can defend yourself. And there are some weird rendering bugs where certain terrain disappear and pop back to view when you come close enough to them. Overall, while this map is a joke, I do like how silly it is, and having that cloudy sky gives me major 2010 era map vibes, which may not have been the greatest maps ever made, but they sure were neat.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
Have you ever had problems deciding which map to play? Well, we're not, as this mashup of Badwater and Upward called Upwater solves that. The first half of the map is just regular Upward, which then merges into Badwater. There's some rather weird spots when the 2 maps combine, and I will just recommend playing each map separately.
Incoming! I need some doggone help!
PLR Upward reimagines this classic payload map for payload race instead. It has been mirrored from second point onward, so every team starts as red's final spawn and blue's final spawn usually leads to the payload. It is pretty nice to see how the final area looks in blue, as I'm so used to seeing it in red that it's quite refreshing. And if you decide to not clip to the former second point, you can find the mapmaker's cutout with their logo, which is pretty neat. Overall, the mapmaker has done pretty good job mirroring the map, so there aren't any overlapping or weird parts, and it will be pretty interesting to see how well Upward will work as a payload map in a serious match.
Yeehaw! Woo!
Why does the blue team push the payload uphill? Are they stupid? That's what everyone talks, so here blue's team starts at red's final spawn and must push the car to their original spawn to go ruin the red team's freshly painted wall, as they're very petty. There aren't too many changes made to the map, except like this extra crosswalk in red's first spawn and new doorway in red's final spawn or blue's first spawn in the original map. It's quite interesting how the dynamic changes as the payload goes a lot faster downhill, and how it really messes up with your muscle memory when you push the payload backwards. It feels really weird, but I honestly would like to see how this changes up the gameplay when the red team has to now utilize more of the blue team's positions to win the game. Before we go over our final map, there have always been some requests of people wanting to see what map would look like if it was a control point map. So here is CP Upward. Yeah, you don't need to push payload, you just walk over to the point and capture it. There are planks at the final point and the cliffside flank has extra props too. There really isn't that much to talk about, so I hope this satisfies some of those wishes. Now let's talk about our final map. Cooler Upward is brought to us by the same guy who did Cooler Badwater. This time I wasn't flashbanged with a fat dragon, so that's one major improvement from the last map at least. I actually want to mention that me joking about skipping over the Cooler Badwater because having to see a Fursona as the first thing in the map managed to upset someone, and then they started ranting something about intersex community, which I don't really get how me making fun of some obese lizard is in any way related to that. I can't find the comment anymore as it's been deleted probably by the original commenter, but I can confirm that it was a rather odd experience. Anyway, Cooler Upward has all the hallmarks of a great shitpost map. There's an unnecessary spa at the basement of Red's first spawn, this medkit moves when you try to pick it up, there's a charity pickup which you probably already guessed does. Then there's a launch pad that sends to your doom, a French evacuated you ceiling, Red's final spawn is slightly different, Blue's second spawn is just 2/4 and then there's the evil deers you staring at your soul. But the real deal comes when you're pushing the payload. Before the beginning of the round, a plane sends a train to Blue's first spawn which comes crashing through and destroys the payload. You then need to cap the first point and then a new card appears and instead of pushing it like a normal person, you pick it up and once you reach the second point it turns into a normal card before splitting it into 3 different cards that each go their own separate paths. You need all the cards to be at the third point before it goes back to one bomb, and when you reach the final point, the card grows wings and thrusters and instead of falling down to the pit, it starts flying towards Red spawn while Moon Team from DuckTales starts playing. Honestly, Cooler Upward was pretty fun. I really enjoyed the humor that's put in it, and I especially really liked the train crash as that was a really cool addition, and that silly moment of the held back movie really caught me off by surprise, and the final points capture was really hilarious to me. So in case the map maker is watching this, just know that even if I joke about your Fursona, please keep making these maps, they're really great. Cooler 2/4 or Cooler Mountain Lab will be really neat to explore, so you know, if you ever run out of ideas of what maps to turn into these silly experiences, then do think about my suggestion. Anyway, here are all the maps for this time around. Despite Upward being one of the most popular maps in the game, it's kind of odd that there aren't that many reskins of this map. I guess Upward is played more seriously so people don't feel the need to change it that much. And why fix something that works? Anyway, that's all for today. Do leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment down below your own thoughts regarding the map shown in the video, subscribe for more TF2 stuff and have a nice day.